My name is Pablo Peillard, and soon we'll start. There we go. So my talk here today is about wielding stablecoins, and that's something I've been working on for the last few years. How do you extract value of your tokens? How do you make use of them in a real farming strategy, farming to earn more yield? So today we'll be talking about a couple of things. First off, a couple types of stablecoins, because not every stablecoin is created the same. Strategies that I use and you can use for your trading, margin lending, etc. And a very interesting use case. How do you take the money and actually use it to buy something, a real-world asset? And then we'll talk a little bit about how we're taking over the multi-chain world in a upgradable approach. As you know, there's a ton of bridges. What do you do with that? So, high level, three main kinds of stablecoins. You got fiat-backed USDC. You deposit money into a corporate bank account. The bank account gives you a token, and that token is perceived to be $1 because there's a reserve currency. Now you can redeem it, and those redemptions give you the money back. Hybrid and crypto follow a similar process. Hybrid, well, they are backed usually by these fiat stablecoins, and crypto backed straight by Ethereum, Fantom, or other cryptocurrencies. And so you try to track that through an oracle such as Chainlink. Now here we got the fiat back, maintains their redemption through this bank account. So if it's over $1, you might deposit some, sell it on the market, and make the money back by the spread. Stablecoin minting is done through a variety of different processes, but usually you can do through interest and fees. So this is the minting for cryptocurrency-backed stablecoins. So you can either incentivize users to bring back the stablecoin if it's over $1 or under $1, and that's where these interest rates come in, which you can see with projects such as MakerDAO or Abracadabra, where you are charged an interest rate which will go up or down based on the price. And fee-based, well, there are fees involved in using the stablecoin either by minting, trading, or others. So interest-based, price goes up, interest goes up because you want to keep the price lower, so reduces the need for the stable. Now, when it comes to fee-based, we do something differently. Wherein the price is over $1, you can just pay cheaper debt. So you can sell it and sell your overpriced assets by effectively overpricing it because it's over $1 and you're actually getting it for $1. So bringing it into a project that I run is my.finance, which runs the Chi-DAO protocol. Now it's an incentive-based stablecoin, and what that means is we incentivize different users or different arbitragers to use the protocol at different times. We're available on Fantom and Polygon, and probably a chain that you know real soon. So now we can go into a little bit of these strategies that you can use in a stablecoin. We start with a margin trading, where you can borrow any regular old token. You start with Fantom, you want to get more Fantom. Well, how do? You put it into a vault, you can borrow against that. Now you get the stablecoin that you go into a decentralized exchange and trade it. You can now get up to 4.2x leverage on your crypto. Now there's pros to this, but also cons, because you get quick leverage, but also you don't get access to interest bearing. Let's say some of you DeFi farmers put money into Aave or Geist or Yearn, you're earning interest. And that's where interest-bearing crypto comes in. So projects such as MyFinance can choose to accept different collaterals based on the systems that control it. So Yearn, for example, relatively safe-ish collateral, and it's a receipt token that is currently being invested in the Yearn platform. Well, it gives you a % interest. That interest could then be leveraged by the same strategy we mentioned earlier, but now you can borrow a little bit less, but you are multiplying your APR. So now you can get up to around 19% APR for the same amount of money that you had before. You'll pay a little bit in fees, particularly your repayment fee, which I can explain later. But the cool thing is you're leveraging your APR. And if you trust these platforms, it's the same as putting your money on there. Now, the cool thing about these platforms is you can also do interest-bearing stablecoins. Now, these help maintain the price lower. Now, why would we want to maintain the price lower over stablecoin? Well, if you're borrowing against your crypto, and everybody's borrowing against their crypto, you get this effect where if the price of crypto as a whole goes down, everybody's chasing for your stablecoin and starts to buy it up. What happens then? Your stablecoin isn't a stablecoin, it's actually an inverse leverage against crypto. So how do you keep it down? You provide other mechanisms to mint your stablecoin that bring it lower, closer to $1. So this helps the system maintain its stable value by providing a delta neutral strategy that does not affect the overall system. So trading with your crypto or trading with stables, which offers a very interesting game where you can actually borrow against a USDC that could be earning interest on a platform such as Yearn and multiply that APR risk-free. So if you're not interested in holding stablecoins or you want to have a high interest rate bank account in crypto, you do that, which can be paired up nicely with some other degen-ish strategies that we all know and love. And last but not least is lending markets. So as you know, lending markets are very, very useful for any strategies that you might be doing, particularly because they have variable rates. Now these rates are overall cheaper short term, but long term, they end up 2 to 10% and sometimes 20, 30 if a lot of interest comes into the collateral that you're borrowing. So this works really great for traders, and we're supplying markets with my finance, my being the stablecoin. Now, we can jump into a little use case that we have. If you want to take your money and bring it into the real world, how do? You go to the bank and you say, hey, I have $200,000 worth of Fantom. They're going to say, good, you have your magic internet money, go there. It's not for us. And that's kind of difficult if you're trying to buy a house and your assets are there. So what you can do is, well, let's say you start with DAI, the stablecoin, and you want to convert it into a car, such as a Lambo. You first convert it into something interest-bearing, such as the Yearn platform. You deposit it. You can make around, let's say, 15% a year on your stablecoin. That's about 45K for 300 grand. So in 5-6 years, you're basically getting really close to your principal amount, so you're actually making your money back. But when you tie it into something like my finance, you can actually borrow its value before it's accrued. So you can borrow up to 80% of the value that you're depositing. You'll have to pay it back, no worries. But now you get access to $250,000 of money that you can then sell for other stablecoins while still earning interest on your current principal, which allows you to then maybe, extract the money, put it in exchange, get the car that you always wanted, and it's fairly straightforward, no banks needed. So in general, you take your DAI, you put it into Yearn, then you borrow against it, you then trade it into USDC, USDT, something that you can then trade it into your bank account, and suddenly you already have a loan, and in 5 years, pays itself back, you get your principal. So that's a use case, not financial advice, just something I'm planning to do whenever I'm done degening with my crypto. In terms of multi-chain, which is the next step, in crypto, there's a Cambrian explosion of bridges, a Cambrian explosion of blockchains, and they're all connecting. Now, there's an issue with connections. When you create a connection from one bridge to another, or one blockchain to another through that bridge owns you. So let's say you run a dApp on Ethereum, and you choose a bridge, maybe not the official bridge, and connects you to Solana. You're stuck using that bridge forever if you have your dApp on Solana. So how do we get through this? There's a couple of issues when it comes to picking a bridge. There's a couple of issues not picking a bridge, because now you don't get access to these new users. You have to deploy a new, different application. The next 2-3 years are going to be crucial for whoever is launching a dApp and wants to make it multi-chain. If you pick wrong, you're going to be stuck on a bridge, and you don't want to build a house on a bridge. Now, this is a very old diagram I found online about different chain-specific and other types of bridges. As you can see, it's already big, and there's a lot more. I met 5 different companies, and none of those are on here. So what we're doing is we're working together with AnySwap to provide liquidity to our router, or their router, to effectively provide our stablecoin bridge across any chain that AnySwap is in, which is already a variety. Just to name a few, we got Avalanche, Harmony, Arbitrum, and Fantom, Polygon, Ethereum. So getting on AnySwap is basically getting everywhere, and it's a fairly secure platform, fairly trusted. And, well, long story short, you can come be your own bank at My Finance. My name is Pablo Peillard, and I really like stablecoins, so if you want to come chat with me about them, I'll be around all week. We can ask any questions now. Yes,
yeah, right here.
How's it going?
If you go back to the example with the Lambo again, so it seems to me the thing you're not accounting for is when you're borrowing against that principal, there is an interest rate to consider as well, right? The interest rate for borrowing. I mean, if it's functioning like a bank, and I put 300K in, borrow 200K out, I'm still paying interest on the loan that I just took from the bank, right?
Right.
So how would that work in your example again, if you go back to that example?
This one?
Yes.
Yeah,
this one.
So with this example, My Finance does not charge an interest rate. So you pay a 0.5% fee based on the amount that you borrowed. So let's say you borrow $10,000, you pay 0.5% of that when you repay. So in general, there's no variable or term-based interest with My.Finance. It's very similar to Liquidity on Ethereum Layer 1. We're taking a similar approach, although more open to different chains, open into cross-chain transitions and transfers. But yeah, there's no interest. So you can go ahead and borrow, particularly you gotta be mindful with the arbitrage opportunity at the moment, because the token might go from $1.01 to 99 cents. So depending on where it is, you wanna make sure you play the right card. So if it's under 99, you wanna pay back your debt. If it's over 101, you go ahead and sell it into the market. But using those things, there's probably gonna come out soon some limit order systems, so you can just set limit orders and liquidate as you go. And yeah, at the end of the day, you're not actually paying an interest rate, so you only have to worry about the pricing of the asset.
All right, thank you.
Hi, my name is Ramiz. I have a 2-part question. If I understood your question right over there, the money you borrow is based on your APR on Yen Finance, first of all. And what happens if your APR goes down over time?
Well, if your APR goes down over time, then you're just going to be stuck having to pay back the loan, which is not bad. You're still getting the loan that you wanted interest-free. But yeah, so let's say it went up, but then your collateral went up, but the price still didn't match up to the double. You'll still have to sell some of the collateral to pay back the loan. You'll still end up with more money than you would if you were to liquidate your crypto and then go into a bank, buy the Lambo, because your assets won't be growing and they won't be earning for you.
And secondly, is more technical. When I have my money locked up in Yen Finance, how is it bridging to your platform, Dhabi? So basically, I can use that collateral on your platform?
Exactly. So our platform, we support it as collateral right here. So you can take your YV DAI, you lock it up, and lock it up to YV DAI, and then from YV DAI you open up a vault on My.Finance, and then you click borrow. And effectively, when you're clicking borrow, you're locking up your tokens until that borrowed amount gets paid back.
Hi. Wow, that's loud.
Hello.
So I have a quick question. How can I get more assets whitelisted to borrow against, so to speak?
So how can we get more assets on here?
Yeah, so I understand you're already integrating Yearn Vault assets. So for example, we have Xcream, which is already having Chainlink feed Oracle for its price. So
interesting. If it's got a Chainlink Oracle, then we can propose it to our DAO.
Chainlink and Bang.
Perfect. So we'll talk about with the community on Discord. So if you go to my.finance, you can check out our Discord. We'll talk about putting that proposal out. We really want to get Boo as well. Right now, you can do Sushi, Aave, BTC, ETH, Fantom, of course, DAI. So you got a selection for margin lending, but with Beefy, our Beefy partnership we just closed last week, you'll be able to use the auto-compounding receipt tokens from Beefy Finance to borrow against. So this all in all, it just helps you access the capital that's usually just sitting there earning in a secure way. So we're not taking any random farms or anything that could potentially lose the collateral value. But in general, we want to support people in a system that does not necessarily get too much love. It's usually your non-interest-bearing stable tokens or cryptos that you get access to borrow against. So
that's brilliant. But so that means you guys are going to be choosing via governance votes?
Yes.
So those governance votes can be proposed by anyone, or any minimum requirements for the governance token to propose votes?
So the proposal is locked to users who have 1 million Chi, but it's been fairly relaxed in terms of, someone proposes something on Discord, on our Discord channel. We have a QIP, so Chi Improvement Proposal. Chi is a governance token. And yeah, it takes 24 or 36 hours and it'll be proposed. We've had a partnership with Amun, who's an index fund, who's trying to create an index fund of tokens for crypto. And it passed, which means we'll be depositing quite a few tokens on their index to create the index and seed it. And then we'll get in return a percentage of that index.
That's amazing. I'm really happy you guys are working so hard on Fantom and bringing so much of exposure and great products. But there is the field which you guys are entering is not really as vacant as it used to be. We have players like Abracadabra and Inverse Finance who are already moving ahead on Fantom as well, and they seem to have the early movers advantage. I have seen some assets like YVFTM, they have a lower LTV required and you can borrow more. So I understand that the loans on Quai are interest-free, so to speak, but if the LTV ratios are taken into account, paying the interest may be not a bad option if you're earning sufficient APYs to cover it.
It depends,
For example, sorry.
It depends, because after 6 months or 12 months, you're going to get so many users the APY may not necessarily cover. For example, in Polygon, you can see the Aave incentives were 12, 15%. Now they're sitting at 2, 3%. So, but from a collateral to debt perspective, I believe we have slightly lower collateral to debt ratio for stablecoins. For crypto is 130% for regular, 135 for the others. So you get about 80% of your money as you're locking it up.
Sounds amazing. Thank you so much.
Hey.
Cool.
I'm up here.
Oh, hey there.
Yeah, sorry. How do you handle liquidations on Key, and how do you maintain PEG?
So liquidations are done publicly, so everybody can do them. We run a bot just in case liquidations are not being run by other people. And basically, if the vault, so each individual vault has its own collateral to debt ratio, and if it goes under, the user gets paid, well, someone will be able to pay back their debt to bring it back. But when they pay back their debt, let's say you borrowed $10, they will pay back $5. So $5 in pays back your debt, but then they get to take $5.50 of your collateral. So effectively, they're paying back your debt. You don't owe it anymore, but you paid a 10% fee to do that. And
okay. And what's the pegging mechanism again? Not sure if you went over it.
Oh, the overall pegging mechanism is a combination of both the incentives for the lending, like minting the token if it's over $1, paying it back if it's under $1, and to help maintain the stability based on, if there's a lot of crypto going down, everyone's liquidating, we allow interest-bearing stablecoin minting. Awesome. Well, hope you guys learned a little bit about stablecoins, and if there's anything else, maybe a new token that I might have not heard of that has a Chainlink Oracle. I think he's got a follow-up.
So you kind of answered, but I want to know in more detail the actual mechanism supporting the price, right? Because I'm imagining so let's say next year, let's say a lot of people are using stablecoins, and so a lot of people are using your ecosystem, and a lot of people are essentially dumping DAI, right, to fund their purchases. So what mechanisms, like specifically, do you have for MAI to keep the price at like $1, to keep it up, essentially? Because everyone, the main use case seems to be minting it to sell for something else, right? So yeah.
Well, for our stablecoin, the way it just maintains its peg is based on the value that you can only extract. So not anyone can mint just the stablecoin out of thin air. They have to mint by locking up a certain asset.
So to follow up on that one, I was going to say that we've already seen like kind of FUSD fail in that department, I would say. Like you can only mint 30% of your value, but it has trouble maintaining peg itself.
Which project?
FUSD, Fantom USD.
Well, that's where DEXs and exchanges come in, because you can have a stable-coin, and if you don't help maintain its peg on the actual decentralized exchanges where it matters, we're kind of stuck with a fancy ERC20 that's not really worth anything than what the market decides it is worth. So that's where partnerships with different projects, such as one that we're working with on Solana with Port Finance to provide liquidity into their market, so loans could be retained through MAI. We're doing something similar with Scream, and effectively it provides more avenues for people to use MAI that's worth $1. So as different lending protocols allow it to be used, it generates the demand on one side. Now, that is only by maintaining the peg, you're effectively saying this token is worth $1. So these two things help maintain the peg. On the other hand, incentivizing the liquidity in things like Beethoven, the balancer protocol on Fantom, is another strong strategy that we're doing, where we have basically a pool with 3 other stablecoins to help it maintain. So you can earn by maintaining the peg.
Okay. I guess my second question is just why would I use MAI over another stablecoin?
I mean, I would highly recommend just using a decentralized stablecoin. Now, if you're doing short-term plays, you maybe go for a variable rate lending protocol. If you want to do something like a protocol, like a flexible leverage index, well, most of the capital will be stuck inside the lending protocol for quite some time, as it's opening and short closing positions. You're better using a fixed rate lending than variable rate lending. So it depends on your use case, particularly if you're doing something very, very long term and you don't want to be exposed to variable rates, this will be a better option. If you're doing short term, or don't need to worry about the variable lending rates because you're earning a high APR, like last fellow mentioned, that's another strategy. So stablecoins, as long as we have good ones, decentralized ones, that's all we need. Well, great, guys. I'll leave you with my info if there's anything else you guys are interested in, or girls. And yeah, let me know what you think about our website. Thank you.